Hi there, I'm Flora. I'm 17 years old, and I'm pretty much the queen of Portside High School. I'm the cheerleading captain and the reigning beauty pageant winner. I know I have natural beauty and charisma. It means everyone is drawn to me, but I don't make it easy for them. I have high standards. I can't be seen associating with just anyone, so I only let a select few get close to me. My main exception is Nina. She's my classmate, and she is the same age as me. She comes from the same high social standing too. Honestly, she is the only girl pretty enough to hold the coveted position of my best friend. Birds of a feather flock together, right? My high school life was perfect, but then in the space of one day that all changed. I remember standing in the office of Mrs. Harrington. She's the principal of Portside High. She is a stern, middle-aged woman who cares more about school achievements than anything else. She sat there and told me that I had won a scholarship to the ACL Academy because of my cheerleading skill. It's a boarding school for the athletically gifted. Then she dropped the bomb. She said I was leaving today. This made no sense. I don't even do sport. I rushed straight home to discuss it with my mom. I found her sitting on the couch, surrounded by a load of shopping bags. She had already spent the scholarship money before I had even found out the news. I know my mom loves money. She is obsessed with material things. But how could she make such a huge decision about my life without discussing it with me first? I groaned as I packed my bags because it looked like I had no choice but to leave Portside High behind and go to this stupid sports school. I told myself it didn't matter. I'm a skilled cheerleader after all, so I thought it would be a breeze. But I was completely wrong about that because this new school absolutely sucked. On my very first day here, I was woken up at 6 in the morning and forced to run 5 laps around the stadium. I gasped for air and fell behind while the other students were still running ahead. I looked at them and wondered if these people were superheroes or something. I didn't understand how they were able to run and laugh at the same time while I was panting like crazy. I didn't even have time to catch my breath when the teacher made us move to the gym to lift weights. After 3 hours in that hellish gym, I barely had time to digest my lunch before they steered me into the volleyball court. I realized that was the sport my mom had registered me for. I was practicing tossing the ball on the court when another volleyball came flying toward me and hit me right in the head. I yelled out in frustration because I hated this stupid sport. Finally, nighttime arrived and I managed to crawl my aching body back to my dorm. I lay on the bed and prayed for God to save me from this living nightmare. Suddenly, the door opened and in stepped my 3 roommates, who were also my volleyball teammates. Honestly, I didn't even know if I could call them girls or not. One had super short cropped bangs, one didn't say much and shuffled more than she walked, and one wore clothes so baggy they resembled a tent. Obviously, I was way out of their league. And the thing they all had in common was that they were always sweaty. It was so gross. I realized I had to go take a shower as soon as possible, otherwise I might turn into one of them. Once I was fresh out of the shower, I called Nina and blurted out how exhausted I was and how much I missed our school. Nina said poor me and that I must be so tired. Then she had some amazing news to share with me. There was a city beauty pageant coming up, and she was representing the school. I stuttered and asked what she meant. I reminded her that I won the school beauty contest. She just said that I did win, but since I didn't attend Portside High anymore, she came in second. They had given her the spot. She added that it was too bad because I definitely would have won. I couldn't believe it. It was so unfair. I was still in shock when the dorm supervisor stormed in and took away my phone. I forgot to mention that this school even has a strict rule about putting phones away and lights out at 10 o'clock. They believe health is the most precious thing for an athlete, which made me roll my eye. I tossed and turned all night. This beauty pageant was massive and there was no way I could miss, but I wasn't at Portside High anymore. Instead, I was stuck in this dumb jock academy. I thought that if only I could get out of here. Then I realized I had a brilliant idea. I needed to get expelled, so I decided to skip practice and cause some havoc for 3 days straight. I poured paint into the pool. I used pliers to cut off the badminton string. I deflated all of the soccer balls. I also made sure that the security cameras caught it all. As expected, the principal eventually called me to his office. I was excited because this was the moment I was waiting for. I thought that soon I could pack and get out of here. Only the rest didn't exactly go to plan. The principal mumbled that if it had not been for Miss Harrington, things would be different. Then he yelled at me to go do 2 laps of frog jumps around the soccer field immediately. I was shocked that he wanted me to do frog jumps because I hate those things. I wondered why he couldn't just kick me out already. But then I paused and wondered what Mrs. Harrington had to do with this. After my punishment, I needed to vent, so I hugged my aching thighs and called Nina to complain about my failed plan. But she just burst out laughing. She told me that those outdated tricks were never going to work. She said I had to do something bold. I gasped while listening to Nina because I realized she is a genius. The next night, I decided to put Nina's bold plan into action. I sneaked out when everyone was asleep, clutching a box of firecrackers in my hand. That's right. I was going to wake the whole school up with a bang. I crept into the dorm's backyard and lit one of the firecrackers, the fuse sparking in the dark. I quickly ran to hide behind the bushes and covered my ears with my hands, counting down in my head. And then nothing happened. It was total silence. I frowned and went back to check. I saw that the fuse had gone out. I wondered if it was broken, so I tried again and again. But the same thing happened each time. It felt impossible, almost as if a ghost was blowing them out. Just the thought of that sent chills down my spine, so I abandoned the plan and sprinted right back to my room. So not only had my plan been a massive fail, but staying up late had left me super tired. Needless to say, the morning run was not fun. I felt like a zombie. I turned to look at my 3 roommates and noticed they were all yawning and dragging their feet. I found it strange that they looked even more exhausted than me. Then one of them spoke up. She asked if we had heard about the doomed jock. She explained that he is a ghost who haunts the dorm's backyard. Allegedly, he attended this academy years ago and exercised himself to death right there in that yard. Now he haunts it. I froze and wondered if the thing that messed with me last night was actually the doomed jock. I felt the blood drain from my face in fear. Later, while I was having lunch, I contemplated my situation. I knew I couldn't just give up like that. I needed to figure out a way to get out of this awful place before this ghost got me. I thought about my options and decided to start a fight. I heard that the fencing team and the basketball team were the 2 toughest groups in the school. I went to work immediately. I sprayed paint on the fencing masks and used a needle to puncture all of the basketball. I even left a fencing sword at the scene to frame them. Then I wrote both teams an anonymous letter that told them to meet on Sunday at 2 in the afternoon at the abandoned building near the back gate. When Sunday came, I hid inside the abandoned house and waited for the 2 groups to arrive. I watched their tense faces and thought that this was going to be fun. I quickly called the cops. And then I took advantage of the chaos to blend in with the feuding team. It got wild fast. I almost got punched in the face, but fortunately the cops got there just in time. Everyone started to frantically flee the scene. I ran happily up to a cop and confessed that it was me and that I started the fight. But to my surprise, the cop just asked if I was hurt. Then he ignored me and hurriedly chased after the gang. It dawned on me right then that if I wanted to be caught, I had to do exactly what they did. I had to run away. With no other option, I opened the car door and found it unlocked. I quickly jumped in, squeezed myself under the back seat, and lay completely still, holding my breath. At that moment, the driver's door swung open. I closed my eyes and braced myself to get caught and yelled at. But suddenly, the car engine started up and we drove off. I cautiously looked up and saw the principal sitting in the driver's seat, whistling a happy tune. I couldn't believe it was his car. After a while, the car stopped in front of a bar in town. I didn't expect a serious, stony-faced man like him to go to such place. But then a thought hit me. If the principal caught an underage student like me in a bar, surely that would get me expelled immediately. With that plan in mind, I hurriedly got out and followed. I tried to walk in, but a large security guard stopped me at the door and asked for my ID card. I froze because I obviously didn't have one. I had no idea what to do, but then a strange guy appeared next to me. He leaned in and offered to lend me a fake ID to get in, but there was a catch. He said I had to go out with him that night in exchange. I looked at him and thought, well, I didn't plan on sticking around for long anyway. My goal was just to get inside, find the principal, and get caught right away. So I nodded in agreement. I reached out to take the ID card from him. Suddenly, I felt a strong hand yank me back and push me into a waiting cab. I looked up and saw my 3 roommates. I was furious. I asked them what they were doing there and told them that they had just ruined my plan. One of them shot back that I was the one causing trouble. She asked if I honestly believed that if I got expelled like that, my old school would take me back. She scoffed and said there was a fat chance of that happening. I was confused and asked how they knew I was trying to get expelled. It turned out my roommates had overheard the conversation between Nina and me. They confessed that it was they who extinguished my firecrackers in the campus backyard that night. Then, they made up the story about the doomed jock ghost to scare me into staying away from there. And when the angry basketball and fencing teams came searching for me earlier, it was my roommates who lied and said I had been with them all day, so I could get away with it. I asked them why they did all that for me. One of them replied sternly, not to get them wrong. She said they didn't do it for me. They did it to protect the school's reputation. Then they started explaining the real situation. They told me that for the last few years, due to bad achievements, our school was on the chopping block to make space for new industrial area. The only way to convince the city council to keep the school open was by winning the upcoming state sports competition. One friend said passionately that they had all played sports for their entire lives, and that sport was everything to them. She said if the school closed, they didn't know where they would go. Another friend added that it was why, when they saw me just being lazy and messing about, they couldn't just sit back and watch. I fell silent. I had no idea about any of this. Suddenly, I felt so guilty. I mean, I can be self-absorbed, but of course, I didn't want to ruin their future. I decided to open up to them and told them all about the beauty pageant and why I was so desperate to leave. They listened and insisted there must be a way to join the pageant without returning to my old school. They searched around on Google. And guess what? It turns out the pageant accepts free candidates too, which meant no school registration was needed. I couldn't believe my luck. It was exactly what I wished for. I immediately signed up for the contest, and as a thank you to my new friends for saving me, I decided to start making a real effort at playing volleyball. Since I'm a tall girl, my training position is a right side hitter. I found a strange satisfaction whenever I managed to block a ball. I wasn't going to lie to myself anymore. This was actually much more interesting than I thought. The following weekend, I headed into the city to pick out a dress for the beauty contest. I walked into the boutique and felt like I was back in my element. I lost myself in the racks of gorgeous gowns, running my fingers over the soft silk and sparkling sequin. I was holding up a beautiful red number when a familiar voice startled me. I froze behind a rack of clothes and peeked through the gap. I saw Nina standing in front of a mirror modeling a dress. She asked her mom how it looked. I shifted my gaze to see who she was talking to, and my jaw nearly hit the floor. It was Mrs. Harrington. He is my old principal. Mrs. Harrington clasped her hands together and told Nina that she looked stunning. She gushed that Nina was the most beautiful girl in the world. Then she said something that made my blood boil. She told Nina that she didn't know what possessed the judges to pick me over her, but there was no need to worry this time because she had sent me far away. Nina smirked at her reflection. She agreed and said that was exactly where I belonged. She added confidently that she would show everyone who the true beauty queen was now. I stood there in absolute shock. I couldn't believe it. Is my old school principal Nina's mom? The pieces of the puzzle suddenly clicked together. Transferring me to the sports academy wasn't about my hidden athletic potential at all. It was just a part of her plan to get me out of the picture so her daughter could go to the pageant unopposed. I waited for a moment until Mrs. Harrington stepped outside to take a phone call. As soon as she was gone, I walked straight over to confront Nina. I looked her in the eye and told her that I couldn't believe she was like that. Nina looked shocked at first to see me standing there, but her expression quickly changed. She smirked and asked me what I meant. She asked if I meant someone who is far prettier, more talented, and more crown-worthy than me. Then she thanked me sarcastically and called me sporty girl. I didn't waste another second talking to her. I shoved past her and stormed out of the shop. My hands were shaking, not from sadness but from pure anger. I told myself she'd better wait for it. We would soon see who the real winner is. The next few weeks were crazy busy. I was living a double life, juggling intense volleyball practice with my pageant preparations. Even though I was only a reserve player on the team, I still wanted to give it my all. I found myself cheering louder than anyone else and pushing the girls to do their best because I really wanted to motivate them. The sports competition finally arrived. After 2 days of grueling events, the atmosphere was electric. It was terrifyingly close, and the fate of the whole school came down to the final match. It was our volleyball game. Talk about intent. It really sucked that the match was scheduled for the same day as the beauty pageant. My original plan was simple. I would sit on the player bench, cheer my heart out for the team, and then rush off to the city just in time for the show. But then, disaster struck. During the warm-up, the girl who plays the right side hitter position took a bad fall. She sprained her wrist and couldn't play. I watched as she clutched her hand in pain, and the mood on the court instantly dropped. I looked around at my teammates. The whole team looked so worried. I saw tears welling up in their eyes, and they looked completely defeated before the game had even started. Seeing them like that made my heart ache. I knew I couldn't just leave them like that. There was only one thing for it. I stepped up and decided I would replace her. I calculated the time in my head and figured that if I was quick and we would win fast, I could still make it to the beauty pageant afterward. I told myself to stay focused. Come on, Flora, just 1 point left, and we would win the whole thing. My heart was pounding in my chest and sweat was dripping down my face. The gym was so loud, but I tuned it all out. Suddenly, the ball came flying straight at me. I knew this was it. I leaped into the air and spiked it with all my might. The ball smashed into the floor on their side. We scored the winning point. We actually won. I was busy jumping around and hugging my teammates, celebrating our huge victory. Then, everyone suddenly asked me about the beauty pageant. My eyes widened. Oh my god, I almost forgot. The match had gone on much longer than I thought it would. My friends practically dragged me into attack. We sped to the venue, but when we got there, my heart sank. The show was already coming to an end. And worst of all, I saw who was standing there. She was wearing the winner's crown and holding a massive bouquet. She looked all smug. Yep, It was Nina. We walked to the entrance of the hall and she spotted us immediately. She looked at me and asked if I had come to congratulate her. She thanked me and sarcastically called me her bestie. Then she turned to my roommate. She said they must be my new friends and that it figured. She called it cute, but she clearly meant it as a nasty insult. I looked her dead in the eye. I told her to stop the act. I stated firmly that yes, they are my friends. I told her that unlike her, they are not fake, and they are 1,000 times more interesting than she is. She scoffed at me and flipped her hair. She said I could say whatever I wanted, but she was a beauty queen now, and I was no longer at the same level as her. My friends started clenching their fists. They looked ready to defend me, so I quickly pulled them away before a fight broke out. Right at that moment, a loud feedback noise screeched from the speakers. An announcement followed. It said, "Attention pageants, they had just discovered signs of voter fraud." They required all the participants to stay inside the hall and await further confirmation. The whole room went silent. About 30 minutes later, the truth finally came out. It turned out that Nina's mom had paid for thousands of voting tech. Needless to say, Nina had her crown taken off her immediately. Mrs. Harrington also lost her job as principal. I laughed to myself as I watched them leave in shame. What goes around comes around, right? As for me, I'm not bothered about beauty pageants anymore. Instead, I have a new hobby. I really love volleyball now. It turns out I'm pretty good at it. Who knows, I might even become a professional player one day. But you know what the best part of all this is? I now have true friends by my side. I know they will be willing to help me anytime and anywhere. Life is funny because I thought losing my crown was the end of the world. But honestly, I found something much better here with my team. I found my real strength and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So watch out, world, because this athlete is just getting started.